Okay, we are live. I am Chris from History Dose. I'm the writer, narrator, researcher. This is my brother Joe.
I am Joe from History Dose. I am the artist, editor, and as of late, the composer of History Dose.
So we are very excited to have you guys here. We will get going here. We have a very special guest, Egyptologist Dr. Perrine Poiron. I think that's like a decent pronunciation of the name. It's not right, but I feel like it's decent. And then before we bring her on, I just want to mention again, we do have our trip to Egypt this November. You can see we have tons. I mean, it's just most of the big stuff that you want to hit in Egypt when you go there. You can go on a big group trip with me, Joe, 9 other travelers so far. You can still sign up. So I have the link to that in the description. But we got a ton of questions from you guys for our guest today. So yeah, we're going to start with a general chat about Egypt. Again, it can be a little bit intimidating learning about Egypt. There's so much. The names are hard to pronounce. People don't know the difference between Old Kingdom, New Kingdom. So we'll get into all that. You guys submitted a ton of questions, both on YouTube, our Patreon people, and Instagram. And then throughout the show, feel free to drop questions in the live chat. We will give priority to super chats. So, and again, thank you to our Patreon supporters, especially the people at the Con and Leader tier, Benissimo, Kevin Lee, Nicholas Seiler, Omri, and Johan.
And just as in addition to our guest today, if anyone has played the game Assassin's Creed Origins, she was a historical consultant on that. So I've actually been working through the Discovery Tour myself right now, and it's been really great. So it's cool to have like someone who actually worked on the game here. So might ask her some questions about that too.
All right. Without further ado, let's get our guests. How's it going?
Hi.
Hey.
Wonderful to have you. Name? How was my pronunciation? Was it
perfect?
No, it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, but it was really good if I compare to other pronunciations.
Like 5 out of 10. Okay. Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you got interested in Egypt to begin with.
Yeah, so what I'm doing now is I'm working on my thesis publication, and I'm working on a postdoctoral proposition for September. So I'm still working in Egyptology. How I fell in Egypt, ancient Egypt, I was 11 years old. So like a lot of my friends in this fight, we all fell in love with this civilization when we were a child. So I read a book from Pauline Gage. It's a Canadian author. So I don't know the title of the book in English. It's in French. It's Les Scorpions du Nil. But she wrote so many books on ancient Egypt. So about Akhenaten period, about Saqqara period, and it's always from something real. So for the first book, it was based on the Papyrus of Turin. So this is a papyrus who is talking about the condemnation of a murder attempt on Ramses III. So it was called in French Le Complot du Harem. So the harem complot. I don't know the word in English. I'm sorry. Sometimes my English is kind of not so good. But well,
our French isn't very great either. So,
but under Ramses III, actually, there was a murder attempt from a concubine and soldier, and so the concubine wanted to put her son on the throne. And that's why Ramses IV, when he came on the throne, always in all his official apparition, is saying that, well, I'm a true heir of my father. I didn't I'm not the one who killed him, because now we have his mummy of Ramses III. So with analysis, we were able to find that he was really murdered. So it's not an attempt. We know that the king was killed. So there was a papyrus called the Turin Papyrus, where we have all the protagonists and all the condemnation and all. So if you are a servant, for example, you just get decapitated. If you are a noble, you have 7 days to put end to your life, your own life. Actually, you have to kill yourself. Some people who knew about the complot has to have the nose and the hair cut. So we know all those information on this juridical papyri. So that was really, really interesting. So the book starts from this end of the story, but she wanted to explain the life and the origin of the concubine. So it's all from the concubine point of view. So it's really, really interesting. So, well, Pauline Gage, if you want to read someone who did good job mixing romance and history, it's her. And in French classes, when I was in college, we learned about the robber of the sarcophagi from Odile Wollers. So I have like a double injection of ancient Egypt, so for my free time and in school, and it was really appealing to me, and I fell in love, and I didn't know the name of the job exactly, but I knew that I wanted to work in this specific history period.
So this isn't a phase. You've been at this for a while.
yeah, it's a story of my life, actually.
So, like I said before, I feel like even for myself, someone who loved history, it always seemed like Egypt was so intimidating because it's not within most people's established knowledge of history. In other words, people might be able to start studying French history if they already know something about English history, and you get those sort of cultural interactions, or some figures in one country that tends to be close to it, and it becomes easier to fill those stories out. With Egypt, it was like, okay, there's 3 great golden ages. Who knows what these are? I can't say any of these names. Am I supposed to memorize every single Ramses that we have? And
11.
And
it's Persian, then it's Greek, and then it's Roman.
So before we jump into
it's 3 millennia. Actually, ancient Egypt, it's 3 millennia. So
it's a lot.
People, when we talk about ancient Egypt, people have access to the first cliche. So the first one is the Bible with Ramses II and Moses, and so it's really there are a lot of bias about that. So people are in contact with ancient Egypt in movies, so mummies, so horror movies. In literature, we have like immortality quests always. So those cliches are putting a lot of mysteries and a specific aura around it. The last one was X-Men Apocalypse. I have the chance to work on the set with Oscar Isaac. I was the one who translate the text for Oscar Isaac for this movie. And with ancient Egypt, you can do whatever you want because it's so far away from us. We are not connected to them, but 3 millennia of power, 3 millennia of consistency. It's really appealing for people. And Egyptomania was born in the 19th centuries. You have also with the Victoria eras when all the industrialization of Europe, and we know that in England, for example, people were dying outside. There was no houses. There was the time were really difficult for English people, and with all these mummies, perfect condition of bodies, and all those mysteries was like I don't know the word, espoir, a hope for them that something bigger and something more beautiful can come to them. So that's how, and with the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, that was the climax of it, you know.
Right.
So
So why don't we give an overview? So someone who's very unfamiliar with ancient Egypt, what are we talking about here? Is it the same persistent culture over time? Are there vastly different houses and kingdoms? When does it start, and kind of when do we delineate the end
so
of ancient Egypt?
that's what it's really interesting with ancient Egypt, because, for example, I'm a specialist of the first millennia BC. So all the last period of Egypt, so starting with the Libyan invasion, the Nubian, the Persian, the Greek, the Roman. So I'm more specialized with this era. And even if it was different, the consistency is the one of power, of culture. And, John Baines, who are a really a famous English Egyptologist, said that culture in ancient Egypt was defined in terms of kingship. So if we want to talk about something constant during the 3 millennia, is the power, the culture of power. But during 3 millennia, look how far we go, just 400 years. Look back 400 years. So it's the same thing for them: technology, contact with the neighbors, commerce. So everything was evolving and changing. We know, for example, Ramses II, during the New Kingdom, let all the gods of the neighbors come to Egypt. So there was like a syncretism that came. So, for example, we have Set Baal, we have Hathor Astarte. So they did some mix of gods, and because of the contact, so there was consistency and there was difference between the era. So, like you said, Chris, before, we have Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, late period. We have first, second, and third intermediate period. So I'm really a specialist for the third intermediate period. If you want to talk to me about this period, I'm really, really knowledgeable about this period of time. But the Old Kingdom, when you close your eyes, you see Saqqara, the Gizeh pyramids, so Cheops, Khufu, Menkaure. You have the pyramid text. You have the coffin text. And if you go to the the coffin text is during the Middle Kingdom. So what come between, every time when we have kingdoms and intermediate period, it's because we have instabilities of power. So during the Old Kingdom, at the end of the Old Kingdom, nobles starting to wanted more power in their cities and fiefs. So there was like a loss of power from the central state, and people from all around Egypt, so nobles from all around Egypt, start to have their own strength. And the Middle Kingdom comes when somebody take back the power again in a central place. So there was a strong central state. And it was the same thing for the second intermediate period. We have an invasion from the Hyksos. So we don't know exactly where they come from, but we know that it's in maybe the Syro-Palestinian corridor. So, or maybe, so we know that they come back and they take the north of Egypt. And after that, we have, again, for the New Kingdom, a prince that succeed in taking back the control and giving back to Egypt a central state, a strong central state. And for the third intermediate period, yeah.
And I was just trying to give people a timeline. So Egypt first unifies around 3000 BC, if I'm correct.
Yeah, actually it was under the first manifestation of a central state was under Narmer, so the king Narmer. So it was 3000-ish BC.
Right, and then
Name
you
means
have Old
painful
Kingdom is
chapter.
about 2700s BC, and then so these kingdoms that we have are these golden ages. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the same dynasty.
But
These are
do you want to hear a fun fact?
yes.
Do you
That's
know
all I
that
want to hear.
we are closer in time from Cleopatra than Cleopatra was from the pyramids? So Cleopatra is
It's
closer to
crazy.
us than the pyramids.
Yeah, no,
So
that was
that's really funny.
Yeah.
as we're studying too. We'll let the fans who decided to tune in for the live stream know. So the next video is on the New Kingdom, Egypt. I won't say more than that because I don't want to spoil the topic for you guys. But it is pretty crazy to think though at that time. I'm studying this and I go, oh, the pyramids are already 1,000 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so before I get to the audience questions here, I kind of wanted to just ask, do we have a sense for how much I guess both the royal families, the ruling families, as well as the common people, how much did they know about their past throughout this period? Was there a sense that, I mean, we found these old king lists and we know Narmer and all this. Did the people know at the time? Did the people know it's however many thousand years, or was it almost? I
No,
don't know.
because the conception of time in ancient Egypt is different than ours. So ancient Egypt do not have a concept like history. But they know something like it's called in ancient Egyptian Yemen. So it's like the tree. So it's memories. And ancient Egypt have two time concepts. You have the Jed and the Nehe. So you have the eternity, like a cycle, Nehe, and you have eternity Jet, like hours. So the time flies. You know, you start from here and you just can go one way. So it's
Linear and then
linear
eternal.
and
Okay.
cycle. And living people, they live for the linear time, but when you died, you are part of the cycle. So every king is a part of the cycle to have the golden age back on earth with the God living on earth with us. So it's always a cycle. So it's not they knew, for example, Ramses II, everyone knew him because it's the longest reign in Egypt, and he put his name everywhere from north to south. So everywhere you are going in Egypt, you will see his name. Look on the monument and you will see his name. So I don't know one monument when official monument when you cannot see his name near. You know, he is. So people knew some important personage like Imhotep. So he's he's the architect from for the pyramids. But we know that in the late period, people still are going to his cult and thinking about him. He was deified, so people still continue to say his name and to made offering for him. So that is really particular because it's memory. And like I said, culture was defined in terms of kingship. Of course, people are their own history for the cities, for the villages, and for the families' histories because they want to know where they come from. So, who was your parents and your grandparents and grandparents was really important for them. So the genealogy was really important, but it stops in a way. So we cannot go back like for millennia.
Okay, let's let's get to one of these questions in the chat. What was a normal day as a Ubisoft consultant for AC Origins like? I don't know. Did you work for a very prolonged period of time for them, or was it kind of a brief?
Actually, I worked 2 years with them before Assassin's Creed Origins. So I organized a trip in Egypt to help all the artistic director and teams to feel the beat in Egypt and see the environment and all of that. And so from start to end, I said maybe 4 years.
Wow.
That is way longer than I thought.
In and
I thought
out,
it might be 2 weeks.
In and out. No. It's really a long run and a long stretch. And after that, after Assassin's Creed Origin, I worked during 1 year and a half in artificial intelligence to train AE to translate AI. To translate hieroglyphs. So I work with a team from Google and from Psycho in London to help them to train the machine to see how machine learning can translate hieroglyphs. If you search for Fabricius in Google, you can play and have fun with that.
I did, I did the other day.
Yeah. And a usual day is sometimes having comments for 2 days before. So they come with an idea and you have to rush and to write something. And sometimes I have every week I was giving 2 hours lecture. So about a matter. So the artistic director asked me, for example, to talk about the Magi, to talk about the temple architectures, to talk about religion, power. So every week during 2 hours, I was giving lectures to the teams and explaining them some stuff. And after that, it was, for example, when a scene was finished, they're showing me the scene and I was doing analysis and critics. So this works. It's not.
I wish we had you working for History Dose.
Yeah. Oh, it would be a pleasure if you have some time. If you want to have a feedback, I'm used to that. So.
Actually, I have been playing through the Discovery Tour of Assassin's Creed Origins recently, kind of in preparation for you. But I was really impressed at all the small little details, down to like the granaries made out of mud brick and stuff, the different types of flowers, to the way the temples are segmented, where you have the inner sanctuary with the Holy of Holies and stuff, to mummification being kind of close to the temple but in its own little workshop. And I was just really impressed, just kind of slowly walking through.
And what I enjoyed is the fact there is polychromia, because what we have in our minds when we close our eyes to think about ancient Egypt, it's like beige, something really monochrome. But Egypt was polychrome, but it was not in the video games. The colors are not kitsch, they're vivid, but it's beautifully done,
And the temples are painted and stuff.
And what is really, for me, what impressed me the most in the video games, it's the first scene when you have Bayek inside a temple, and he's going out, and like when you are blindsided with the light, it's exactly the same feeling that you will have when you will go in Egypt. For example, when you will go inside Thutmose III tombs, it's really profound. And when you will go out, you will have the impression that you have climatization in the desert, because it's so hot inside the tombs. When you're going outside, it's like freezing, even if it's 40 degrees,
Wow.
And you will see the light. So the sensation, the sensitive sensation that we have in the video games are really well done for me, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I always love, and that's kind of what we try to do with our channel is, get historic, Joe making historically accurate art or something authentic about the music, if we can use like genuine instruments. And then the way I write the script and the research I do, it's almost, people will say we're kind of obsessive, but it isn't just for the fans. It's also, I want to know what it was like to, we do a bunch of different topics. So I want to know what it was like to experience the Mongol siege of Baghdad or something, or a Viking raid. And so we get really obsessive about those details. And that was the coolest thing about the Egypt one. I remember when Joe first got the game, we were playing together, and I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to be obsessed with Egypt now because.
And did you listen at the environment when you because we are in a Greco-Roman period, so in the street you have people talking Latin, Greek, and Egyptian. So that's really interesting also because it's all the cacophony that we have in the street that we can imagine that there was in ancient Egyptian streets.
Oh yeah, I
Right.
love walking through Alexandria in that game and just hearing the different merchants and the animals and stuff. But yeah, when we first got the game, a big thing, like you mentioned, was I had in my head that Egypt was mostly tan, brown, sun-baked. And then I just see how beautiful it was. It's green. It has these different blue flowers and stuff. It's the temples are painted like red, blue, and yellow, and it completely changed my mind of Egypt. I'm like, this is like a vacation.
Oh, it's
I like
a win.
this. Yeah. So I remember.
I'd love to get a sense of a place that you start to realize, like, sometimes we can study these periods of history and they almost, I say it all the time, but they almost feel like fiction in our heads. It's almost like you were reading about Middle Earth because, there's kings and there's the conception of these different gods. And it's so great to, sometimes we do it in our episodes is just zoom in on the common person, or like in the AC Origins to be like, to walk through a farm or a village and just realize this was a society full of people and just living their everyday lives and hear the background beliefs. And
this is what is really hard in ancient Egypt, because when you will visit Egypt, what you will see will be the Egypt of power, the Egypt of noble, but not the day-to-day Egypt. So, for example, the only place that you can see how ancient Egyptian used to live is at Deir el Medine, so inside the Noble Valley, where you have all the artisan villages. And even this place, so it's called the place of truth, so where the workers used to live, and the worker that carved the tombs, the king tombs or the noble tombs, but they live in autarky, really separated from the other people. So even them was a kind of elite. So we don't know the peasant, the poor. So Egyptology today, with technologies, with all the new discoveries, aim to better understand how poor people used to live, or normal Egyptian used to live, and what are their beliefs. For example, when you see the Karnak temple, it's not a temple like you are going to visit a church. A church, everyone can go inside a church. But a temple was the home of the god, and the priest was not priest, there were servants. Even their name in ancient Egyptian was servant. Hem was servant. The title Hem for priest is servant. So when the king enters the temple, he is visiting the house of the god and giving them offerings. But people cannot go inside. You have to be someone from the elite to be as far as the hypostyle hall, but you cannot go further inside the temple, for example. So when all we have today is the monumental Egypt, so the Egypt of the power, not of the day-to-day.
Right. And that's what I'm always interested in too. Is of course the Egypt of power is the most beautiful and impressive aspect. But I also, when you're reading about Egypt, you're kind of wondering what the common person believed, and I always try to do that with old civilizations that I and researching is just try to get a sense of these people are coming from a very different prior set of beliefs. So we might think it's laughable to say that that person legitimately is, you know, a god walking before me, but not in their life. But the other side of that equation is how many believed that this was the son of Amun-Ra, or how many believed that Amun-Ra wasn't the supreme god, but they had a local god.
Actually, you have to understand, for example, for the pantheon of ancient of Egypt, it's the true name is not polytheism, it's henotheism, because every city has their head god. For example, if you are in Memphis, it's Ptah, Sekhmet, and Nefertum, the child. If you are in Thebes, you will have Amun, Mut, and Khonsu. If you are in Abydos, you will have Osiris, Isis, and Horus. So everywhere you go, you have always a family. The family is the central axis of ancient Egypt. So even in the god conception, you will have the mother, the father, and the child. Always. It's always the Trinity is always there. And people used to believe that their own god, for example, if I'm a Memphis person, Ptah is the most powerful god. But I understand that even if Ptah for me is the most powerful god, for the kingdom of Egypt where I live, Amun-Ra is the head of the kingdom. So I know that there is something more bigger than my own.
Yeah. One question I had was looking at these belief systems. A lot of times we will say like polytheistic or henotheistic, but when we're talking about those different gods, a lot of them are just sort of like a classic pantheon god. So it isn't sort of the supreme theist god. These are almost like powerful titans that intervene in one aspect of the world. Was there any sense that people had that, you know, maybe they worshipped almost like a lesser god, but they believed Amun-Ra is almost something akin to the theistic god, where this is the supreme cause? And I don't know if it had changed before. I think before Amun-Ra, was it believed that just
Actually,
Ra?
It's just Ra. Amun-Ra was the
Theban.
king of the god during the New Kingdom.
Right.
And actually, every time at each period of ancient Egypt history, you will have a swift of power for the gods. For example, and all depends of where the capitals is. So during the Old Kingdom, for example, did you know that when Cheops, Khephren, and Mykerinos built the pyramids, they didn't know Osiris yet.
Oh wow!
Osiris arrived later. So on the 6th, this is for Cheops, Khephren, and Mykerinos are the kings of the 4th dynasty, and Osiris appears during the 6th dynasty. So 2 dynasties later.
Yeah, and is it even later that he becomes the god of the dead?
Yeah, and
right,
it's after that. So it's a switch of conception of beliefs. So and they coexist. What is really wonderful with Egypt, they do not erase and say, well, we change. No, we just add and add and add, because the more the better.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So when you have the ancient conception of the dead, for example, so ancient Egyptians thought during the pyramid era that, like the sun, your soul will have the same travel. So during your life, you raised, and after that, when you died, you go inside the Amduat, so the underworld, and you are on the boat, the race boat, and you are fighting Apophis, so the snake of chaos. And every day you are with the god, and you're doing this cycle of life. This is your eternity. When Osiris arrives, there is an addition to that. So the concept of Ma'at, of justice, of truth. So you have to put your heart with the feather of mat if you're on the scale, and if your heart is more heavy than the feathers, your soul will be eaten by Hamit, so the monster that
crocodile.
Terrifying.
Hamit is his name.
Are you annihilated at that point? Out of existence?
Yeah, and actually, what is really the death sentence for an ancient Egyptian person is that you forget his name. When you see the tomb of person, usual people, when you travel near them, there was what we are calling it in Egypt, between Egyptologists, the l'appel aux vivants, so the call to the living. So people are walking near the tomb, and it's just saying, please say my name, say water, say beer, say bread, so I can live, drink, and fed myself.
Wow.
So the word, the performative thing, it's magical. The power of the word, of saying things, make them alive. So if you erase the name of somebody, for example, Akhenaten, when he erased the name of the other god, his aim was to make them disappear. And after that, he lived the same thing, so people just erase him from history, and we discover him later on, but they erase him. They even on his sarcophagi, the place where his name was supposed to be was erased.
Wow, so they kept his body, but they erased the name.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is really the death sentence, because without your name, thought cannot find you. You cannot see
to
you.
raise you or to bring your soul there.
Yeah.
So let me go. So this first question I had from the Patreon was kind of similar to what we were talking about, but maybe we can answer it again in sort of a more general sense. But I've heard that many of the religious practices stayed the same over long periods of time in ancient Egypt. How true is that, and how drastically did they change? If it is,
like I said, I think answered that, because it's an addition. Yes, practice evolved. There was switch of power of God. So, for example, during the whole kingdom, Ptah was the god protecting the monarchy. And after that, you will have Re, and after that, you will have Osiris, and after that, you will have Montu. And during the Middle Kingdom, the god of war, Montu, because remember, I told you that during the Second Intermediate Period, there was an invasion. So the god of war become the most powerful god. And after that, you will have Amon, that will be mixed with Ra, and you will have Amon-Ra until the end. So, and during the Greco-Roman period, you will have Serapis and Isis. So every time it's changed, but it's always an addition of. It's not a cancellation of, it's an addition of.
It's almost like the same core DNA is there, but it's slightly altering.
I guess when they added, so Serapis was a combination, was it Zeus?
It's a syncretism between Osiris, Zeus, Ammon. It's a syncretism.
And so when people, I mean, there had to be a moment where someone said, okay, this is the same being. Was there a sense that almost, I guess, maybe even people from the Abrahamic faith would say that there's like sort of a core Abrahamic God that we are all worshiping, and maybe we have different conceptions. Was that, do we have a sense of if that was going on?
No, it's not. This is our bias. This is our own bias of our religion conception. It's really, really different. So we tend to explain it as so, because it's really difficult. So when you see, you read vulgarization books about ancient Egypt religion, it's really schematic, like the Greek pantheon or Roman pantheon. It's really homogeneic. So ancient Egypt is so complicated because it's not like this. We tried to explain it like the most important pantheon was the Heliopolitan pantheon. So when you will have Ra, that will give birth to Geb and Shu, and after that you will have Tefnut, and you will have so the air and the earth Geb, and you will have after that Isis, Osiris, Nephthys, and Set, and after that you will have Horus. So we tried to explain it more easily like this, but it's more complex than that.
I guess what I'm asking is, did they believe that okay, we had been worshiping Osiris, and actually this was the same person as Zeus, and we've realized these people we're coming in contact with have been worshiping the same god, maybe in a different form?
Oh, you mean with another culture? For example, if I'm an Assyrian person and I'm coming in Egypt, and I think that Set and Baal are the same, or Hathor and Azaz are the same.
Correct.
So they tend to say it's the same god, but known with different names. But when you read Herodot is saying that ancient Egyptian gods are the most ancient gods. So they and he recognized that their own religion is built on ancient Egyptian religion.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, next question. Marcela Benitez. When cities like Cairo or Alexandria developed, was there a guideline for where houses, places of worship, institutions had to be built? Was there something similar to modern zoning laws we have today for urban development?
It's really an interesting question because, of course, yes. The East Banks was the banks of the living, and the West Banks was the place of the dead. So usually people used to live on the east side of the Nile. After that, the temple, like the church, were at the heart of the cities. But unfortunately, we do not have enough archaeological place when you have a complete place, because people still live in Egypt. So we do not have all the archaeological place
You just want to dig it
discovered.
all up.
We have a small place there, a small place there, a small place there, but usually people still live around. When I was on the field at Tanis, so in the Delta, you have really all the place of the archaeological field really circumcised, and all around you see the city, the contemporary city all around. So it's really difficult to know how cities were organized, and if we have like Hippodamus, the square and the straight line. For Alexandria, it's more easy because we have a lot of testimony from Greek, Roman, and other people that visit Alexandria. So we have a mapping of the organization, but for ancient Egyptian cities, we do not have an exact, we have some part of, and with all the part of, we are doing like a general assumption,
But there were certain things I know as far as like with temples and stuff. Like there were certain restrictions of who could enter the temple, and then what type of business you could do inside the temple itself that might be considered impure to the temple. So was there a lot of attention to kind of the religious life and how that might influence?
Yeah, everything was built around. Like I said, temple was the heart. We suppose that the temple was the heart because that ancient Egyptian people has to give 3 months of their time each year to the temple, to the service of the temple. So it was a rotation. So you always have people going inside and work as small priests and, washing the floor and making the food, and the temple is also a place of bigger administration, because you have a musician, you have the one who do the beer and the wine, you have the jewelry, you have the one that made the dresses and the textiles, you have the perfume, you have the singer, you have the musician, you have the dancers. So it's really a big place, it's really vivid, and there is a lot of things going on around the temple.
Great. Okay, so our next one, this also comes through the Patreon, our last one from the Patreon. What role did the Egyptian military play in the daily life of ancient Egypt? Did it change between the dynasties? What role did the pharaoh play in the military? And I guess related to that, the real power of the military in ancient Egypt.
Actually, the military evolved during the time, but of course, they were important. I don't know if in the daily life they were so impact, if they had a lot of impact in the daily life, because there was also the magi of the police that had an important role in the peace inside the cities. But yes, army was really, really important. Usually the pharaoh is the head of the army. What is really interesting is that during the New Kingdom, in French, the meaning is more important, because we are not talking about kingdom, but about empire. So if I translate it, we have Ancien Empire, Moyen Empire, Nouvel Empire. But during the New Kingdom, it's really an empire, because you will see with Tutmosis III is the explosion of the frontier. The country can become bigger and bigger and bigger. And what is really, really, really interesting is that after Akhenaten, so you will have his son Tutankhamun that come on the throne. After that, you will have his grandfather Ai. But after that will be the head of the army, Horemheb. So the last king of the 18th dynasty is the head of the army. And Seti I and Ramses II are not from royal family, they are soldier family. So Seti I was a first general under Horemheb. So Horemheb, because he did not have an heir, choose Seti I, so Ramses II father, as not Seti I, Ramses, sorry, because the general Ramses I and his son Seti I after that come on the throne, and you will have his family on the throne for all the 19th dynasty.
Right. I think. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, was Thutmose the First the same way? Was it? I think he was a general before.
Yeah, because like I said, when at the end of the Second Intermediate Period, there was a war to regain the power and kick out the Hyksos out of Egypt. So again, it's a military thing. So the prince in power was a soldier, and they all are in the meantime royal family and in the army. They are doing the both. Like the monarchy in England, for example, the Prince William has grade in the army, English army. They are it's connected.
So one thing on that too, I was wondering, there almost seemed to be some sense that, and this I guess is almost an enduring fact of monarchies throughout history, but there's a family that God or the gods or heaven has deemed worthy to rule. So how do Egyptians grapple with something where you have a military commander coming in, and then all of a sudden, is there some sense that this person wasn't the son of Amun-Ra yesterday, but now he is? I mean, what do we know how they kind of dealt with that?
Yeah, because you can be the son of the god from the wombs, but you can be the son of the god from your values. because you act like the god will act. You are the same morality, the same strength, the same strategy, the same ambition to give back to the people and to give back the peace, the math. So the concept of justice, the math, is really, really important for that, because the king on earth is the one who exposed the chaos of Egypt. Like Ray is pushing out the chaos from the heaven, the king is protecting the earth from the chaos. So it's like a symmetrical action. So as the head of the military, he's kicking out the chaos, so the enemy. So
Wonderful. Okay, we have a couple Instagram questions. What was Egyptian class structure? What was life like for an Egyptian peasant? I guess we kind of gestured toward that same concept before, but I mean, what is class like in ancient Egypt? Do we know?
But actually, you have the peasants. You have like maybe 80% of the population lived on the field, and the daily life was structured around the agricultural cycle. So the rhythm of life was around the rhythm of agriculture, and all your religious feast was built all around this. You have, after that, only 1% of the population know how to read, for example. You have the people working on the temple, for the temple. You have people working for all the medicine, and because it was closed. You have merchant, and you have all the concubines and all the palace and all the court, the kingdom.
Do we know if there was anything like we would consider upward mobility in Egypt?
Yeah, there was mobility, because we know for fact some history of people that come from nothing to the most higher rank. So that it was possible to grow inside the society, but of course with limits. It's most rare story. It's most rare than usual, But it's possible to grow, and for women, it's really interesting to know that they can divorce, they can have back their money, they can be at the head of a society, so be at the head of a merchant company, or it's anachronic to talk about company, but a business of our
Guild
own
or something.
yeah, and some of them learn how to read. The princess, for example, do you know that the first diplomatic communication that we have are from T, the queen of Amenhotep III. So she's doing diplomatic between it's not the Hittites, the Mitanni.
Oh, right.
The kingdom of Mitanni. So we have letters with she used to write to them. So it's really interesting to see some part of this story, of this possibility, because after that, if you compare Greece and Egypt, for example, women lacked, and stranger people lacked of possibilities. When you were a metek, you cannot have an evolution inside Athens if you wear the label like a metek. But in ancient Egypt, even if you are a stranger, for example, after the war during the Ramses the people of the sea invasion during Ramses III, during the New Kingdom, Ramses III offered to the Libyan that help to push back the people of the sea 2 options. I can give you money and you go back to your own house, or you can live in Egypt. I give you field, I give you a place to live, but you have to speak Egyptian and take our religion and dress like us. It's you can live here. You are welcome, and we know that some generals of the Libyan army built a strong connection with the elite because some time later, during the third intermediate period, they will be in power and they will take power.
Wow. So on that same. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. It's just an evolution.
It's kind of going off of this question about social standing. How would one, because I know priests were pretty highly regarded in Egyptian society, how would one go about becoming a priest? Was there some restrictions given a specific family you're part of? If you were someone who's working in the field, could you say my sons could one day be priests or something? Or was that restricted?
Yeah, but again, every Egyptian has to give 3 months a year to the temple. So he can grow inside the temple responsibility. He can become a small priest, and after that going up. But if he did not do something really wonderful or spectacular, he will have a top. You cannot go.
Yeah, can't go beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on that same topic of the changing status of peoples as they were conquered, we had an interesting one here. What was life like when Persia ruled Egypt? So was it in the 500s, 6th century?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
The 5th century. Actually, what is really difficult for Egypt during the Persia era is that it's the first time that Egypt lose its independence. So Egypt has to give money to the Kingdom of Persia. All the head of the biggest administration. So when the Persian king come to Egypt, he changed all the administration system. So the place became satrapia. So there is instead of the nomes, it became satrapia. So at the head of the satrapia comes a Persian person. So that's why when Alexander came, even if Alexander was a stranger, he had the reputation to let in place the families. So, for example, when he did all his conquests, he's always letting the people who were at the head of the cities at the head of the cities. He never changed that. So, Egyptian, the elite, when Alexander came, they said, well, this one is better because he will not be there, he will not stay there, and we will have back our own power. And so the priests of all around Egypt helped to recognize Alexander as someone chosen by Amun-Ra. So the oracle of Amun, all the myths that Amun recognized Alexander as his son. So that's how this mythology was built. And it was really, really, really difficult for an Egyptian to be under the Persians.
Oh, Chris, you're muted.
Do we know if there was any major religious impact of the Persian conquest?
No.
Within Egypt?
No, absolutely nothing.
Were they pretty hands-off with that? They didn't want to really. They weren't into trying to make cultural syncretism or anything.
No, actually, Persian tried to use ancient Egyptian religion to legitimize their own power, but ancient Egypt didn't take Persian religion to their own. It's the same thing with the Greek. we know ancient Egyptian myth right in Greek, but nothing of Greek culture right in hieroglyphs. So it's really hermetic, and it's not a xenophobia, but there are really proud people and their own culture. Like I said, culture was defined in terms of power, and religious knowledge and religious beliefs is power, because the king is there to do the same act than the god in heaven, So they were really protective of their beliefs.
So one related question, then I'll jump into, we got some really good questions from the YouTube comments, because I made a post with your face on it and a little bit of Assassin's Creed background like 2 days ago, and we got a lot of comments. But I was going to ask, it seems like maybe some part of becoming pharaoh, whether you were a royal or you're coming from a military family that ends up becoming the ruling dynasty, some part of it is just tied to your ability to have success in that endeavor. Like maybe there's some assumption there that the fact that you are so powerful, the fact that you're so capable, is evidence that the gods favor you.
Yeah.
Do we know if there was religious doubt or delegitimacy in these periods, like the intermediate periods, or any of these conquests? Like we believe this is the son of Amun-Ra, but now he's a subject to these foreign invaders.
Like I said, there was military conquest. For Ramses III, there was an assassination. So human, still being human, there will be putsch, there will be doubt. For example, during the Persian era, we have a priest named Petosaris, who was at the head of 2 rebellions, because he thought that it was not great and it was not good, and they were not followed by the gods, So it's difficult to have evidence for the 3 millennia, but of course, it happens.
Right. All right, let's get into these YouTube comments. Okay, so this one says, they say this was somebody named Nevada Bee Man, so he's going to ask about bees. They say there was honey found in the Egyptian tombs. I'm a beekeeper. Please talk about why bees were important to the Egyptians. Were they important? Do we know anything about this?
You can find the importance of bees directly in the name of the king. So in the title of the king, the Nesut Biti title is written with the symbol of the north and the south, and the symbol of the south is the bees. So it's really important. They knew that honey was really, really so tasty. So we have a lot of food conception with that, because ancient Egyptian like sweets. Still today, actually.
But I need to try some when we're over there.
Yeah, and also medicinal. They knew that honey has really, really particularities in medicine. So it was important, and they understand, I think, the cycle of life, because they were observant people. So they knew that when the bees came, food come along, with the agriculture. So yeah, it was of central importance. And also, I think hydromel, so the alcohol that you can do with that. So yeah.
We had some question that I didn't save. I didn't post on the thing, but I was just wondering. I was like, I feel like this isn't a fair treatment, but it said, how come they only ate bread? Shouldn't they have figured out that they need to eat more than just bread? It's an all grain diet. And I was like, I don't know enough
They
to
do not
counter
eat
him, but
only
I
bread.
felt like
Where
they had
did
a
you?
pretty diverse diet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where
they
did
did.
you? They had diverse food because used to eat duck, beef, pork, fish.
Beer is a big staple.
Yeah, beer, of course, but beer was more like a drink than food,
Mhm.
even if it's mix of both. But yeah, they have really a diet of really diversified diet. So no, it's not only bread. It's just that they have a lot of type of bread, but it's not just bread.
I
Was
did
the
hear.
And the bread
agriculture almost
are
entirely wheat then? Maybe that's what they were getting at?
no, it's because what we know about the daily life come from the tombs. And like I said before, I just need to eat something, even if it's not in a lot. Bread is enough. So just give me bread. So this is a bias that come from what we know from the daily life, that come from the tombs. Though, so it's different.
I did hear kind of a downside of the Egyptian diet was the amount of sand grains that was kind of
Yeah,
in the
because
food.
even today, when you will go in Egypt and you will have the flatbread in your food, sometimes when you will have the one made by the people, you will have some sand because they're still doing I don't know the term, but the green with the stone on the
Okay.
floor and
Mortar and pestle.
that's yeah, and we know that with the mummies that a lot of person, even the king, for example, Ramses II died from an abscess of so an infection of the teeth. So yeah, there was a lot of sand.
Corrosive effect on the
inside.
teeth.
Yeah, that's true. That's really, really true.
Wow. All right. So the next one: are there still unexplored chambers of the Sphinx or pyramids?
So inside the pyramids, no. We know that there is corridors, but more structural corridors than really a place that was used to do something. For the Sphinx, no.
Yeah, I was wondering, just my own curiosity here. It seemed like almost like dumb luck that we ended up having King Tut's tomb preserved. Like, if I remember correctly, it had almost been like partially buried with some ecological event, and so it was kind of spared from grave robbing over the millennia. Do you have some sense that there's another pharaoh out there like that, where maybe their tomb we have not found, but we will, and
Actually,
we're going to get lucky, and it's full of preserved
we
artifacts?
had. Did you know about the tombs of Psusenes? All the
No.
kings, the Scythe kings, not the Scythe, the Libyan king from the 21st dynasty. So in Tanis, so Pierre Montet, who were a French archaeologist, made the discovery 3 days before the Second World War start. So
Wow.
that's why the discovery passed almost incognito. But he found complete tomb. So when you will go in Egypt, if you are going to the new Great Egyptian Museum, you will have the tiny
We are.
space, and you will see all the treasure of those kings, and you will see a silver sarcophage. So
right. Okay.
Hierakocephal, so with the head of the falcon. And you will have also all the anthropoid sarcophage
Is this it?
in
Can you see
silver.
this?
So this is Psosenes. Yes, this is the mask.
That's the
But
silver.
this
Wow.
is silver. And did you know that silver was rarest than gold? So it was precious than gold.
Wow.
So that means a
That's
lot.
incredible.
So
Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
we think that we did not find yet the tombs of the 22nd dynasty's kings. So they're
Okay.
still lacking some
There's a
kings.
hope.
We have the one from the New Kingdom, but there are a lot of tombs from the Old Kingdom or the late period that we do not have yet discovered. And for the fun fact also, do you have an idea of how much discovery we've done in ancient Egypt? The percentage of what we know?
21%.
Yeah. So it's
Really?
really small.
Just guess that.
It's 20%. And
Wow.
actually it's really difficult because, like I said, people they still live in Egypt, so we cannot put them aside, and the population is more heavy than it was, so we cannot put them aside and say, well, go back, go outside, I don't know where you will live, but I need to go dig in your garden,
Yeah.
And we still, maybe the lost tomb of the great pharaoh Alexander the Great is still out there.
Yeah, but actually that is really funny, because this is another fun fact, because every year when you read something that you find it, somebody find it. Yes, well, we found Cleopatra too, so it's Alexander or Cleopatra. But so every year somebody think that he found it, and no.
That's what we're going to do on our group trip. We're going in November. Our group trip, we're going to find Alexander. That's the goal. We need to set one day aside.
Yeah.
Call me, please. If you find it, call me, please.
Yeah, I'll let you be the one to discover it, and we'll name it after you. You'll probably get some sort of curse.
No.
Okay, we had one I thought could be a pretty interesting question here. What is the weirdest cultural artifact found in excavations in Egypt that felt like it shouldn't have belonged? For example, Chinese, Viking, Celtic, Turkic. What do you think?
We found, actually, it's in Sudan. We found Chinese porcelain.
Oh, wow. Do we know
what is really interesting?
Dates from?
Yeah. I think it's at the middle of the New Kingdom.
Wow.
Ish.
Okay, I was going to think Ming Dynasty or something.
Wow.
No, I don't know for sure. So I know it's ish during the middle of the New Kingdom. But what is really interesting is some pearl from Russia that we have, New Kingdom necklace. So pearls from necklace that come from Russia.
Wow.
And what is really interesting is that we found ancient Egyptian object in the north of Europe.
Scandinavia, right?
Yeah.
Glass beads from King Tut's workshop. And I think King Tut also had Baltic amber in his tomb, if I'm correct. So there was definitely a trade connection.
Yeah, sure.
Between the two regions.
Do you ever try to venture guesses on whether there was a cultural impact one way or the other from very distant cultures? Or I guess sometimes we think about like the Near East. Could there have been some legacy of either Egyptian religion or ethics, or even more far afield?
Can you precise, because I'm not sure that I understand the question well. So can you just?
So do you ever look at distant civilizations that existed at the same time as Egypt and kind of wonder, did these theological concepts, religious concepts, or moral concepts originate in Egypt, or vice versa? Did certain
Yes,
Egyptian
we have
practices come from afar?
We have it from the Isis cult in the Mediterranean. So we know that even after the loss of Egypt, the cult of Isis still continue inside the Mediterranean. So, for example, we have Isis temple in Pompeii. So that is really interesting. We know that, for example, the Knossos Palace in Crete was decorated by Egyptian painter
Wow.
because it's the same style. But we have during the Second Intermediate period tombs in I don't know the Avaris that are decorated with a Mediterranean influence also. So
Wow.
yes, it's possible that you have sometimes.
I know
different
too.
influence.
Kind of going off of this, I've read some of Ronald Hutton's work on Egyptian magic and its influence on the Western view of magic. And I find it really interesting because we have like 15th and 16th century English chronicles listing out different magical spells and incantations and potions you can make, and some of them will have will mention the name Isis, and they just think it's some incantation.
Yes, because she was the goddess of the mysteries when
Yep.
in the Roman era. So because she was at the head of the mysteries, of course, magic. And ancient Egypt religion was also really connected to Heka. So the word in ancient Egypt to say magic. So
I believe Heka was originally supposed to be more like a supernatural force, and then it became deified, and like humans could use it, but gods used it too.
Yeah, it's a different conception because it's a word. Like I said, saying the word giving life, it's a magical process. So it's all interconnected, and the gods, they were at the end of all this powerful word, and they were the one knowing, hieroglyphs. The ancient Egyptian language was called the Medu nature, so the word of the gods. So they were in possession of this magic, and the verb is the performative action that you can do to give life to things. So ancient Egyptian essence come from a kind of magic, a type of magic.
Wonderful. Okay, so let me get one more from the comments that we had here. I thought was pretty interesting. What measures? Let me try to bring it up so I can see it a little bit better. Kind of far away. What measures were taken with tombs to protect against thieves? Popular fiction shows elaborate booby traps. Is there any truth to those? Are there any traps?
Yeah, there is
mundane?
false doors. There is, but it's not as what we imagine. It's not as complex as we thought.
There's no
but
puzzles. I love the puzzles.
No, but there was like magical spell at the entrance and advertising. Like for example, if you are going inside this tomb, you will have this, and this. So it's those type of advertise that there is, but there is no not in my knowledge such thing as elaborated than trap or stuff like that.
Let's bring up a couple of the ones that we've just gotten in the chat here, and then we'll wrap up. My favorite pharaoh was Queen Hatshepsut. Do you have a favorite ruler, event, or archaeological site?
That's true that Hatshepsut is really impressive because she ruled during 20 years, and even if she was also erased by her successor, so Thutmose III.
Stepson.
She did rule during 20 years, and it was peaceful and it was prosperous, and so yes, it's an interesting era. But for me, my favorite period is the 22nd dynasty because it's still to date not known as it should be, and it's known to bias from our own bias with a Eurocentric perspective. So if, like I said, it was Libyan king, but from origins they do not arrive, they do not conquer, they succeed. They were called to be king. They inherit their powers. So it's not like if they come from Libya to take the power, they just inherit their power and come to the throne. And because of our own biased perspectives, because their names was strangers' names, through their own tradition, family tradition, we called it a Libyan period, and we called it the Libyan anarchy, and so on. And I think, and I hope that when I publish my thesis, it will help to better understand and have a better perspective of how Egyptian was those king.
If I can put you on the spot, I know there is some controversy over it. Do you consider the Ptolemaic dynasty a legitimate Egyptian dynasty?
Yes, because they succeed too, and they were chosen. And when I do my master thesis, I have done it on the 5 first Ptolemies, and I have shown that there were a mix between actually from their Hellenistic perspective and the Egyptian perspective was born a new type of king, like a tricephal king, because it was, if you look at the statues, for example, they were shown as Hellenistic king with the hair going through, but they had all the regalia, Egyptian regalia also. So there were 3 in 1. There were Hellenistic king, there were Egyptian king, and there were a mix of the both. So it was really interesting to study that. But yes, because all what Ptolemies the First did was to answer to the political ideology of the pharaoh. So for the Egyptian, he was.
Okay.
Zero Connection asks, after the pharaoh Akhenaten's reign, was the monotheistic belief in Aten prevalent for decades, or did it disappear rapidly?
It disappeared.
That was King Tut did that, correct?
Yeah, when Tutankhaten became Tutankhamun, it's the end of the Aten area.
I got the sense studying it too that it almost, he had never convinced the people of it. It was almost like a top-down thing, and everybody was happy to go back to the way things were after his reign.
Actually, at Akhenaten, so in the cities that he built specifically to this new cult, it worked. But outside of it, even if he forgave the people to pray the ancient gods and it didn't succeed. So it didn't last.
Do you think he had some sort of pragmatic political goal in mind, or do you think he actually could have thought he had some divine revelation on this and he needed to institute
It's difficult to say. The hypotheses are both credible. It's difficult to understand what comes through his mind, because it's not because he took the power and tried to make a putsch. He was already the heir of the throne. So
yeah, that's true.
He did not have the need to legitimize himself in such a way. I think that he was in contact with people, with maybe philosopher or thinker of this time, and maybe because Ra and Ethan are the same, it's the sun. And in the Syro-Palestinian corridor and Mesopotamia, it's more astral religion, so the religion is more fun on the astrology. So maybe he was more attracted by this understanding of religion with the knowledge of the astrology, and he feel that the sun was actually everything, and he wanted to make a statement. But I don't know. Maybe he was a little bit crazy too.
Well, he did overhaul the whole arts too, I guess. Then he changed to
Yeah,
a
it
more
changed. It
realistic.
changed so. It changed so much thing in the iconography, in the ideology, in the thinking, and some people thought that he humanized also his own relationship with his queen. Like we see the queen kissing him on the shore, but actually the queen was like the king and he was like the god. So by kissing the queen, he was doing the same thing that when we saw the king embracing Amun, for example. So he was doing the same action, but because we saw as an occidental and modern person, we saw a couple kissing. Oh, it's love. No, it's ideology. It's just that he is the incarnation of. He was, really. Oh, I'm losing my word. Megalomaniac.
Oh yeah.
You know.
No, right.
So he thought that he was inhabited by the power of the god and he was giving life to Egypt. So that's why he put his body male female thing, because he was the own incarnation of fecundity, prosperity, eternity. So it's a really interesting
It
era,
makes
but
for
I'm not.
interesting history, right?
Yeah,
And
and
I just want to
I'm
ask
not the one to talk about it because I'm not so specialized about it, but it's really fascinating.
you know 10 times more than anybody else here, so not even 10, 100 times more. I just want to ask about I was reading Toby Wilkinson's Rise and Fall of Ancient Egypt. He could be a little harsh on the pharaohs at points, but the he had mentioned sort of offhand the birth of Egyptian hieroglyphs. And I mean, I guess if we zoom out, it almost seems like a huge coincidence that you have cuneiform, like somewhere around 3,000 years ago, cuneiform and this writing system comes into, this inception of writing in Mesopotamia. And then you have pretty soon after, you have the birth of hieroglyphs.
And actually now we know that it's the inverse. We know we found hieroglyphs more ancient than cuneiform. So
Okay, wow, because at least when he had written the book,
Wilkinson is pretty late, so it's not up to date.
yeah,
So,
he was like, he had said that it appears that hieroglyphs, they're so baked into Egyptian life that it's not as if they're just adapting other words from another language. It is a native system of writing. His opinion in the
absolutely.
book had been that it's probable that they had gotten the idea of writing from a different culture, from Mesopotamia, and then created their own system of writing. Do you think it's the opposite way? Do you think that the first system of writing comes from
I
Egypt?
think I think that people try to find an influence from one to the other, but I think that they emerge independently from the same needs. So they
Okay.
had the needs to contabilize the food, because the first thing that we're reading was numbers. So it was administrative. So it was to answer to a need. And after that, maybe we can say that ancient Egyptian people were more attracted to explain the world around them. They were observers and they wanted to put by reading the information that they collected. So it was maybe it went faster than in Mesopotamia or in Sumer, but I think it's in the same times from the same need, but they do not influence themselves from the mechanism of the what they choose to write, how
Right.
they write.
Does the script evolve much over time? Like
Yeah, sure.
if I'm a priest in the New Kingdom and I see a wall of text from the Old Kingdom, is it more or less legible?
Yes, I think we have hieroglyphic of tradition. So all the religious texts that you see on the wall can be understood by Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and New Kingdom. But in the Middle Kingdom, it's the time where the literacy, normalize itself. So when you have hieroglyphs for the sacralized thing or for the religious thing, you will have what we call the Middle Egyptian phase. But during the New Kingdom, we have the Neo-Egyptian. So it's more, there is more illusion. For example, the feminine is shut down. You do not write the T to show that it's feminine, for example, and after that you will have the Ptolemaic. So at the end of the Egyptian civilization, we have like 2,000 signs, but during the Middle Egyptian we have around 700 signs. So you see how that evolved.
And there's the 5th century where hieroglyphics go out of knowledge, right, for like 1400 years.
And did you know that the last period when the hieroglyphs was used was during the 6th of our own era.
6th century. So in a temple, right?
Yeah, of 6th century. Yeah. At Philae.
Yeah.
At the Philae temple, because even if the Roman put the Christianism as the official religion, they understood that in south of Egypt was this particular temple and this particular people, and they let them did their own thing because there still was a kind of superstition, so they let them did their things.
Is the translation of hieroglyphs now, is that a really laborious process? Is it trying to figure out, am I reading it this way or that way? Or when you look at a wall,
like for yourself,
if you look at a wall in the Temple of Karnak, are you like, oh, I pretty much know what they're talking about? Or do you need to sit down?
Now I can say that, but at the beginning it wasn't that.
Can we pull up a small strip and see if you can read it?
Oh shit, no. Please no. Because actually it's different because, in the temple, it's really
standard,
systematic. It's always the same type of sin. It's the God saying that he give you food, he give you power, he give you thing, and the king is doing other thing to have the knowledge of his power by the gods. When you have an offering sin from a disease, it's always another hetep dinesu type of so offering given by the king to X god. It's always, so you have a stereotype for each type of literature. So if it's funeral, mortual, or if it's religious, or if it's politics. I'm really specialized for the name of the king, so all the protocol and all the official protocol and discourse of the kings. Yeah, the cartouche, but all the 5 name, the king's 5 names.
The Horus name and
So I'm more specialized in all the official protocol and discourse and how the kings express themselves, what they are, where they come from, and what are their strengths. So it's kind of different, but to be able to read hieroglyphs and understand it a little bit, it's 10 years. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that before.
So yeah, no.
You know what I did? Because I saw that thing. One last thing before we get going, but I saw you had worked on that Google Hieroglyphs project.
Yeah.
So I was like, you kind of learned some of the theory. If you go do the thing, if you look up Google hieroglyphs initiative. It should be the first thing that comes up. But
Mhm.
I was like, so I learned some of the theory behind it. It's making me sketch and stuff. I need to trace the lines. I'm like, it's kind of hard on my computer, but and then it says like they're using machine learning, but this is a couple of years ago. They were using machine learning to
Yeah, now
decode
it's
these
different.
hieroglyphs. I was like, I wonder, like, machine learning and AI has gotten so much better. Let me just ask ChatGPT if it can decode these. So I went and got a picture of Alexander the Great's cartouche, and I put it in.
Actually, that
And
was the stop in the project when the scientists understood that it will be more difficult than they thought. For example, now they succeed to train for the cuneiform. So
okay,
they 2 days ago, Psycho published on LinkedIn that they launch
wow,
another machine learning for
cool.
the
Well,
cuneiform
I will
for
say
the
it does
Latin
not work in
Latin.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Latin for
shucks.
the Latin. But for hieroglyphs, what was difficult was the access of documentation that can help train the machine. The fact that researchers do not want to share to the technology those information because they are afraid to lose their job
Yeah,
and the
Yeah,
specificity. Because
makes
what
sense.
is an Egyptologist? An Egyptologist is somebody who studied the ancient Egyptian history and know hieroglyphs.
yeah. It
So
Yeah.
is.
if
It's
we
really
are
bad.
fucked,
ChatGPT is really.
yeah, and they do not understand that. For me, for example, I'm not a philologist. I have a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, is a philologist. So she is able to write a 30 pages paper about just one character and its variant and why they used to have something going there and now it's there and what is its meaning and what me I just want to understand politics. So
Yeah,
I don't want to pass like 10 days on
one
20
character. Yeah,
lines and like with lacune with shading because I do not have all the full sentence, you know.
yeah,
So when they understood that it will be difficult, they choose to launch Fabrusos instead because it will be more ludic and to play because
Mhm.
they understood that it will be too difficult because researchers stop the sharing of information. We have a connection with Macquarie University, with Harvard, but it was not enough to have enough
Enough
information to feed
documents.
the
Yeah.
machine learning.
Yeah. See, my big problem is ChatGPT will never admit if it doesn't know. And so
No,
I put in the Alexander cartouche, and it was like, oh, this is, I don't know, like Kamos the first or something. And then it broke down like what each symbol meant, so why it thought it was that. And then I was like, no, it's not that. So then I lied to it and I was like, this is Thutmose the second. And then it went, oh, you're absolutely right. And then it went through all the
no.
symbols and
It's
explained why it's Thutmose. And yeah, it
ChatGPT
just
is
continued.
made to going to your way. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever I say, it's gonna agree. If I tell
Yeah,
it it's
whatever you
wrong, it's
say,
like,
you're
yeah,
right.
great, I'm wrong.
You are the god and they are the servants. That's what ChatGPT is. It's our servant.
Okay, I think we've done an hour 40 here. Thank you so much
Yeah, this
for
was
your time.
great. I kind of want to go another 6 hours. Like,
We should go another 6
I have a lot
Yeah.
of
But
questions
actually,
myself.
it would be a pleasure if you'd like to talk about a precise thing. We can prepare something, and it will be really a pleasure to collaborate with you and help you
Oh,
if you need.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Maybe once we get this Egypt episode out too, we could work on something. I mean, that'd be
Gotta do
great.
something on the 22nd Dynasty.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you. I
With
hope you had some
pleasure.
fun.
Yes, of course.
All right. Thank
Bye
you guys for
bye.
tuning in.
All right. See you, everyone.